histology of the oral cavity and also the tongue and teeth that located inside of the mouth. Before I start the microscopic structures of the oral cavity, at first explain about the general histology of the digestive system. You know, digestive system is a tube, yes? It's a hollow tube. Please silence your cell phone.
So,
Yes, that you know. As primitive gods developed in the embryonic period. And we all part have a lumen from the oral cavity until the anus. And this lumen has a wall. That this wall included 4 layers in all parts, from the mouth to anus. These 4 layers. The innermost layer that surrounded the lumen is mucosal layer or mucosal membrane. That included 1 layer of the epithelial tissue and also, you know, the epithelial tissue because don't receive vessels under them in all parts there is a little amount of the connective tissue. That in the digestive system, this part named as lamina propria. Yes, the epithelium, this part, the epithelium. Under it, we have the connective tissue as lamina propria. And in some parts, a small muscle as a smooth muscle separate the mucosal layer from submucosal layer that named muscularis mucosa. The muscle that separate the mucosal layer from submucosal layer and also its function is the movement of the mucosal layer on submucosal layer. The second layer is the submucosal layer that located under the mucosal layer is again connective tissue as loose connective tissue. That included the cells, fibers of the connective tissue, also the nerves and fibers. In some part of the digestive system included some special structures, maybe such as the mucosal glands in the esophagus or in the duodenum that I explain for you later. This characteristic help to us to distinguish them, to determine them in different parts because the digestive system organs are very similar together, just have some difference together, especially in the practical. In this layer, the nerves form a plexus, the autonomic nerves, the digestive system, most part of it, except some part of the mouth and also anus that innervated by somatic nerves, other parts innervated by autonomic system as sympathetic and parasympathetic that I think explained for you in the physiology. These nerves, the autonomic nerves, in submucosal layer form a plexus. It means the nerve located irregularly and form a network of the nerves that name the Meissner plexus. The nerves that are in the submucosal layer named as Meissner plexus. The third layer is muscularis layer that included the muscle tissue. That in the oral cavity and the upper part of the esophagus and also in the anus. They are striated muscle or skeletal muscle, and other part. This layer included the smooth muscle cells. That the orientation of muscle fiber are different in different organs, but in most of them, this layer included 2 layers of the muscle in the longitudinal direction or transverse direction. That we now more detail in the next slide. And finally, the 4th layer is serosa or adventitia. Do you know the difference between the seros and or adventitia?
Seros have peritoneum and adventitia don't have the peritoneum covering.
The adventitia is a connective tissue, loose connective tissue, yes? That is the external layer in this tube, yes? External layer of the wall of the gut tube that are in all parts. In some parts, these connective tissue lined by one layer of the squamous cell or lined by the peritoneum membrane. Yes, in this part it's named as serous membrane or mesothelium. Yes, the other name. Please speak louder.
The cells have mesoepithelium.
The adventitia is connective tissue. Yes, loose connective tissue. That in most part, that is better that the organs that are in the peritoneal cavity, this connective tissue in the external part lined by one layer of the squamous cells. That in this part named the serous. Yes, the serous included the adventitia plus serous membrane. But in the oral cavity or esophagus, yes, don't line by the mesothelium or this squamous membrane. Yes, we want to now study in these 4 layers in all organs of the digestive system, from the mouth until anus. All of them included these 4 layers. Just have some differences that are between them because of their function and also in the practical help to us to identify them. Memorize these 4 layers. I write also here the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis layer, and also serous or adventitia. Yes, it means that serous also have adventitia, have connective tissue, but in these organs, finally lined by a layer of the squamous cells. We want to study this, that the mucosal layer included the 1 layer of the epithelium plus the lamina propria. And here, in some part, there is the muscularis mucosa. Yes? This is our general topic for today. And study in 1 by 1 of the organs of the digestive system about them. At first, start from the oral cavity. That you know, anatomical structures of the mouth or oral cavity. It's the first part of the digestive system that in the anterior surfaces are restricted by the lips, upper and lower lips. In the lateral part are cheek, and in the posterior connect to the pharynx. Inside of the mouth, in the inferior surface, there is the tongue, that is the muscular structures, and also in the anterior and lateral part, there are the teeth. The superior part or the roof of the mouth included the palate that divided based of its structures as hard palate and soft palate. And also there are other anatomical structures that you know them in the anatomy. Tongue is a muscular organ that located in the floor of the mouth. Have two surfaces, the superior or dorsal surface and inferior or ventral surface. The dorsal surface of the tongue is rough because existence of the structures that named lingual papilla, lined by keratinized or non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelium. What is the squamous stratified epithelium? Stratified means cells are in different layers, yes? And keratinized and squamous means the outermost layer. Cells have a squamous shape. And the keratinized squamous stratified, there are some keratin filaments under the squamous cells. Most part of the body of the oral cavity lined by non-keratinized squamous epithelium, but some part that have a contact to foods, because some foods that we eat are rigid, such as some vegetables, yes, that included fibers. A little they are rigid for our mouth. In this part, the epithelium are keratinized, that named also in some books as parakeratinized. Because I don't know, you memorize the keratinized and non-keratinized. The non-keratinized included just squamous cells in the outermost layer, and keratinized such as skin, yes? Yes. On this layer of the cells, there are a high amount of the keratin filaments. In the parakeratinized, these keratin filaments are little, and also we can find some squamous cells between of them. That is not necessary for you, because most important for the dentistry students. If you want that more, you can study the histology of the oral cavity in the detail in the other, the mucosal layer, yes, of the oral cavity is the non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelium, that under it there is a lamina propria, that these lamina propria compose the papilla. And the roof of the mouth included the palate as the hard and soft palate. As I said, oral mucosa in most part included the non-keratinized stratified. The stratified, the cells are layer by layer. Squamous means the outermost layer, lined by one layer of the squamous cells. And under it is a connective tissue, loose connective tissue, that named the lamina propria, that included some small or minor salivary glands, that most of them included the mucosal cells that produce the mucus for the lubrication and also moisturizing of the oral cavity. That later in the salivary gland I explained for you about the mucosal cell and also the serous cells. The mucosal layer in the oral cavity, based on the location population and also the percent of the keratinization divided in 3 types as masticatory mucosa, lining mucosa, and specialized mucosa in different part of the oral cavity. The lining mucosa is line most part of the oral cavity that generally included the non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelium, and most part of the oral cavity lined by these type of the epithelium as the palate, floor of the mouth, cheeks, and the posterior part of the oral cavity that connect to the pharynx. Yes, in this part, the mucosal layer included the squamous stratified epithelium. But in the some part, as the gingiva or hard palate, because of the resistance of this part to the rigidity of the food, lined by the non-keratinized or parakeratinized squamous stratified epithelium. And finally, the specialized mucosa that line just the lips. This part of the lips named the vermilion that separate the face, yes, from the internal part of the oral cavity that have more red compared to other part of the surface. Yes, this part named as vermilion. The vermilion is similar to the skin that covered or line our face. But you know, if you memorize, is a thin skin that included 3 layers as epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. And if you memorize the dermis of the thin skin included the salivary glands, sebaceous glands, hair follicle, yes, that are in other part of the face, and also form the 4th layer or is replaced to adventitia in the oral cavity. Yes, the outermost layer of the mouth is the skin, not adventitia, not serous. That in the vermilion, this part lakes of the salivary gland and also sweet glands and also sebaceous gland. It moist by the tongue. Yes. Generally, yes, gradually we do this. Yes, moist our vermilion or our lips by the tongue, by the moisture of the oral cavity. And the outer surface of the lip, yes, this part, lined by the skin, by the thin skin that included the hair follicle, salivary gland, sweet glands, sebaceous glands, or others. Just this part of the oral cavity lined by these mucosa. And the submucosa included there in all part. Yes, in all part of digestive system is a type of loose connective tissue. Just in some part included some special structures that I explain for you later. The dorsal surface or the superior surface of tongue is rough, yes, that we can touch it, yes, in our tongue, and the inferior surface is smooth. The structures of the mouth, of the tongue, or the third layer is the muscle tissue. That this type of muscle tissue is a skeletal muscle. It's voluntary muscle. A skeletal muscle that the fibers located in different directions that form some kinds of muscle that I think explained for you in the anatomy. But in the dorsal surface, there are some protrusion that named papilla. Papilla means the finger. That here the epithelial or the mucosal layer and the lamina propria have some invagination or protrusion and form some finger-like structures that named papilla. These papilla, based on their shape, divided in 4 types as filiform papilla, fungiform papilla, foliate, and circumvallate or vallate papilla. The filiform papilla are more and are spaced in all parts of the tongue. And one thing you know, the tongue embryologically, yes, have 2 deviations, yes, and the structures of the 2/3 anterior is different to 1/3 posterior. And now I explain just about this, because here included the lymphoid tissue as lingual tonsil. The 2/3 anterior of the tongue included the filiform papilla that are most abundant papilla are in all parts of the dorsal surface of the tongue, and the tip of them have cone shape and is keratinized that protect the tongue from the food, the hard food, the rigid food or others. It's more than other papilla and involved in the manipulating of the food, and it's prepared food for the more digesting. The second one are fungiform that have a shape as fungi, that a little amount of the taste buds are in these papilla. The taste buds are receptors for the tasting, for the gustatory sense. The other type are foliate papilla that have a cup shape. They are more in the young people, mostly located in the posterolateral surface of the tongue. Yes, here. Are more here. And also included the taste buds. And finally, the biggest one of the papilla are circumvallate or vallate papilla, that are biggest papilla located there in the, what is this structure?
This is the filiform.
Terminal sulcus, yes, that separate the 2/3 and 1/3 anterior and posterior tongue together. The circumvallate papilla located in the anterior part of the sulcus terminalis. They are around 8 to 12 and included more than 20-50 taste buds. More of the taste buds located here. This is the structures of the taste bud schematically and practically. Taste bud is the receptor for tasting. It means in these structures we should find the neurons, yes, that are sensory neurons for tasting, as gustatory or taste cells that are same as to the neural cells have a body or soma. The dendrite for the reception of the sense act as a receptors, and a one-line process as axon, that the collection of them form the fibers for the tasting. And again, you know in the nervous tissue that the nerve cells in all part of body need to supporting, and in each part of the body that are neural cells, close to them we can find the supporting cell or glial cells that support or nourish the nerve cells, that they are called They have tall-shaped columnar cells and surrounded the taste cells and support them. And also we have here some basal cells or stem cells that can do mitosis and differentiate to these two types of the cells. The taste bud under microscope have very small clear structures in the epithelium, in the stratified epithelium, that here we can see it in more magnification and its cells. In the circumvallate papilla, close to the taste buds, there are some glands as serous glands that they produce the serous. You know, the serous liquid included the proteins. It have a liquidy, watery, that wash the taste buds and remove the foods and the other taste that the time is ready for the other taste. When we eat food, that we can sense different taste. These glands named the von Ebner serous glands that located in the taste buds that are in the vallate papilla that support these cells and also mainly wash the taste bud surface, yes, wash the dendrite that they can again receive the tasting impulses for the when we eat anything. The other structures that located inside of the oral cavity are teeth that you know, based on their aging, they divided in two types as decidua and permanent. Deciduous or temporarily included the 16 that these teeth located in some sockets that are in the mandibular or maxillary bone, that they form some arc, superior and inferior arc, that included a small cavity that named the dental socket for the site location of the teeth. That you know, they shedding start shedding from the 6 or the 12 years old, and then they replaced by the permanent teeth that have a different shape and also different names, as incision, canine, or others that don't need memorize their name. And I think also you know their name. Anatomically, the teeth included three parts: as crown that exposed to the oral cavity, they are visible macroscopically; the root that located inside the mandibular or maxillary arc in the dental socket, and between of them is the neck. If you prepare one session from the teeth, we can microscopically see these structures from the outermost layer. In the crown, the outermost layer named as a enamel that have a white or yellowish color, named enamel, that is the hardest tissue in the body, included around 99% mineral materials, that most of them are the hydroxyapatite that included the calcium and phosphate. If we continue the enamel in the root, following of it, in the root there is another layer, this yellow color, that named cementome. This is another hard tissue that covered the tooth in the outermost layer in the root. Inside of the enamel in the crown and the cementome in the root, there is other hard structures that name dentin. That is like to the bone, but don't receive any blood vessels, but not hard as the enamel. The enamel is harder than others.
Enamel is
This
only in the
blue
crown.
color is a dentin. That the sense of the teeth, as the pain, as the sensitivity or others relative to the dentin, because the innervation of the dentin is very rich in the teeth. Inside of the dentin, there is a cavity as pulp or pulp cavity that consists of the connective tissue, included some cells, and also the vessels, nerves or others enter by the apical foramen or the root canal to this portion. This part mostly included the cells as the connective tissue cells, fibroblasts, macrophage, mesenchyme cells or other cells. And finally, in the outermost layer or in the outside of the teeth, there is one type of the dense connective tissue as periodontal ligament that mainly included collagen type 1 that located in different directions and attach teeth to the bone. This bone, named alveolar bone, is the arc of the maxillary or mandibular bone, because microscopic structures of this bone is similar to the spongy or alveolar bone named as the alveolar process or alveolar bone that I explained a little in detail for you. Enamel located in the outermost of the crown is the hardest tissue, included mostly mineral materials, a little amount of the water. This is the one organ that do not have any collagen fibers, any collagen proteins. It included some special proteins as amelogenic or enamelin, that these proteins important for the development and maintenance of the enamel. The enamel produced by some cells as ameloblasts, that they are very tall cells, columnar cells, that produce the enamel in the embryonic period before eruption of the tooth. When the tooth erupts, the ameloblasts die by apoptosis. It means after birth, yes, and also all of us don't have any ameloblast cells. The ameloblasts do their function just in the embryonic period, produce the enamel, and after eruption, they stop and they die. They initiate the enamel formation, and this protein is very important for the development and also maintaining of the enamel. In the mature enamel, yes, these proteins remain, but other proteins also don't synthesis by these cells. Yes, the ameloblast cells, tall cells that have polarity, it means the nucleus located in the basal part. In the apical part, they included some vesicles, the RER, and the organelles that important for the protein synthesis that you can see here. And finally, in distal part, they have a process as Holmes process. That is the name of the person that discovered them, that the secretion of the mineralized or unmineralized matrix done by this location, and they formed some structures as the rods, enamel rods in the enamel that we can see them by the electron microscope. Just you should know the enamel cells, the proteins, and also its structures that are some rods that parallelly located together, and in these enamel included the hydroxyapatite crystals and involved in the hardening of the enamel. The dentin surrounded the pulp cavity. The cells that produce dentin are odontoblast cells, that these cells also have columnar shape. Odontoblast cells located in the peripheral part of the pulp. Yes, in this part. In all parts that they synthesis the dentin, at first they produce the predentin that is similar to the osteoid. Do you memorize the osteoid in the bone matrix that not mineralized? Yes? At first, odontoblast produce the non-mineralized matrix as the predentin, and then the hydroxyapatite crystals as mineralized matrix precipitate here and form some structures as dentinal tubules that are the main structures of the dentin. The dentin also included the mineralized matrix as hydroxyapatite, non-mineralized matrix as collagen type 1 and other proteins, and also their body. The cells that involved in the production, synthesis of the dentin are the odontoblast, that they have also a cell body, included the nucleus and also the organelles and a process, a line process, that also here named the Tom's process. Both of the aminoblast and odontoblast have this process, but in the odontoblast they are very long, that the production of the matrix done in this process and precipitate around here and finally form these tubules. The aminoblast and odontoblast have interaction together, and existence of both of them are necessary for development of the tooth. They have some induction factors together for the synthesis of the enamel and dentin in the embryonic period. Around the tooth, there are some structures that are necessary for the supporting and attachment of the tooth, that all of them named as the periodontium, that included the cementum, periodontal ligament or PDL, alveolar bone and gingiva. The cementum that I explained restrict the teeth in the root, in the outermost layer, that produced by the cementoblast cells. In the outer of it there is a PDL or periodontal ligament, that is a type of the dense connective tissue, included the collagen fibers type 1 that located in different directions. The PDL attached twist to the bone. Yes, some fibers, or is a soft tissue that located between two hard tissue as cementum and alveolar bone. In the orthodontic process, this PDL is very important for the absorption and reabsorption of the bone, that finally the tooth can move some millimeter, 2 or 3 in the orthodontic procedure. The PDL included collagen type 1. The located between the cementum and the bone as some fibers that penetrate the cementum and also bone. You know the collagen fibers that penetrate some soft tissue as bone, also named as the Sharkey fibers or the penetrating fibers. And alveolar bone are one part of the mandibular or maxillary bone. They are non-lamellar bone. If you memorize, non-lamellar bones don't have any osteon. The osteoblast and collagen fibers located in different direction and don't have any regular structures as osteon in the lamellar bone. That have a socket for each tooth as dental socket. In the radiological image, also it's named as the bundle bone. Just for your knowledge now about it.
Okay.
If you have any question from the oral cavity, I try to explain the necessary topics for you, and I see most of the question I try to explain about the questions for your exam. And about the oral cavity, that anything I explain now in the class is also enough for you as the medicine students and also for the exam. After the oral cavity, the next structure is the pharynx. That you know about the pharynx in the respiratory system, because most of these structures related to the respiratory system. Then there is a long muscular tube that transfers food from the oral cavity to the stomach, that's named as esophagus. That is a long tube located in the thoracic cavity, most part of it, and around, I think, between the 1.5 to 2 centimeter of it located in the abdominal cavity. We want to now study these 4 layers in the esophagus. Before of it, I think this part is in the I can explain in here in the part of the digestive system organs are similar together as these layers, but have just some differences together. The esophagus mucosal layer, as same as to the oral cavity, is a type of squamous stratified epithelium. Yes, these 4 layers, we want to know about this layer from esophagus until the anus, because also all of them derive from the primitive gut tube embryologically, and because of this, they are very similar together. The esophagus have 4 layers in its wall, as mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and adventitia. The esophagus, it's just one organ that covered by adventitia without serous, because you know the other organs from the stomach until the rectum located in the peritoneal cavity, that all of them lined by the serous membrane. This is one. Yes, that adventitia is just in the esophagus. The second differences is in the mucosal layer. Yes, all of them is in the from the esophagus to the anus. Yes, that line by non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, the mucosal layer, because from the stomach until the anus, the end of the rectum, all of them lined by simple columnar epithelium. Just the esophagus and anus mucosal layer included the non-keratinized squamous stratified epithelium, the cells located layer by layer, and the outermost layer have a squamous shape. It's non-keratinized as most part of the oral cavity. That mucosal layer, also under it, there is a type of the little
connected tissue.
amount of the connective tissue as lamina propria, and there it we have again connective tissue as submucosal layer.
In the mouth we have non-keratinized. You said in the oral cavity we have keratinized.
Most part, yes, is non-keratinized. Just the gingiva and hard palate lined by the keratinized in the oral cavity. It means they don't have the keratin filaments. Oral cavity and esophagus and also the anus. The submucosal layer in the esophagus have special structures as esophageal glands that are mucosal cells that I explained for you about the mucosal gland and mucosal cells in the next session. The muscularis layer. In most part of the digestive system, from the stomach until the rectum, you now included 2 or 3 layers that are regular as longitudinal in the outermost layer and the circular in the innermost layer. Yes, in the large intestine, small intestine, and the upper part of the rectum. And all of them are smooth muscle cells. But in the esophagus, this layer also included skeletal muscles that don't have any special arrangement. The fibers located in different directions. Yes, it means they don't have any arrangement as longitudinal or circular layers separately and also regularity. The skeletal and smooth muscle fibers located in different directions, but the upper part or superior part mostly included a skeletal muscle and lower part mostly included a smooth muscle, and in the 1/3 middle part are mix of the skeletal and smooth muscle. Yes, just memorize, they don't have any regular structures. It means that the muscle fibers don't arrange parallelly as longitudinal direction or the circular direction. And finally, the outermost layer is adventitia. That is a type of loose connective tissue that not the serous except the 2 centimeter end part that located in the peritoneal cavity that connect to the stomach. Thus, the esophagus mucosal membrane is different to other part. It's a type of the stratified squamous cells. The other part are simple columnar epithelium, and also in the submucosal layer included the mucosal gland as esophageal glands. The mucosal layer, stratified squamous epithelium, lamina propria. In the submucosal layer included the mucosal glands, the muscular layers, yes, in different direction, and finally the adventitia. That is the type of the loose connective tissue. And another picture, mucosal layer, submucosa, this is the muscularis. Membrane, it's a very thin layer of the smooth muscle. The muscularis muscle is a type of the smooth muscle that separate the mucosal layer from submucosal layer. And in the submucosal layer, you can find the esophageal glands as mucosal glands. In the more magnification, mucosal glands. If you memorize in the cells chapter in the first semester, yes, I explained about the mucosal cells and mucosal acinus and mucosal glands. Mucous cells have a columnar shape that produce the mucus. If you memorize, these mucus stored in the apical part of the cells and push and press the nucleus to basal part. The nucleus are flat, yes, compressed in the basal part of the cells. And the apical part full by the mucus droplets that finally they exit from the apical part of the cells by exocytosis. The acinus is a group of the cells. These structures is one acinus. Maybe 8, 10, 20 cells aggregate together and form a group of the cells as acinus. And a group of the acinus as these form a gland. Esophageal glands produce the mucus for lubrication of the mucosal layer of the esophagus for passing of the food easily. After the esophagus, the second structure is the stomach. This part is a little expanded. This tube a little expanded and form a sac-like structures as the stomach that anatomically included the cardia, fundus, body, and pyloric portion. Macroscopically, inside of the stomach, there are some mucosal projection that named roga. Yes? I don't know, maybe you see them in the color. Yes? Do you have practical in the anatomy?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we didn't see the stomach.
Yes. When we open the stomach, yes, we can see this folding macroscopically. They are, yes, also the stomach included this fourth layer. The roga are the projection of the submucosa to mucosa.
What is the name?
The submucosa to mucosa formed some folding in the stomach that named roga. That we can also see them on the slide. In the practical, I showed to you. This folding can extend and again come back to their structures. When we eat the food, yes, a high amount of this food, yes, deep folding expand and open. I don't know, you hear that the fatty person, yes, have a large stomach.
Yes.
Yes, because this folding gradually when extend and we eat more and more and more, they don't come back to their structures. And a little, the stomach expanded in this person and they need to eat more, yes, and because of it, they are gradually going to be more fat. Yes, these structures are roga. That the roga is a special structures in the stomach. Just in the stomach we can see these structures. Again, yes, the protrusion of the submucosa to the mucosa named as a roga.
Roga.
But in the other hand, again, the mucosa or the epithelial cells invaginate to the lamina propria and form the gastric pits or glands. They are cells. Yes, the roga, submucosa to mucosa. The pits are the mucosal layer to the lamina propria that formed gastric glands that included the cells. These layers just included the epithelial layers of the mucosal layer. The mucus layer in the stomach is a type of simple columnar cells. Just one layer of the cells that have columnar shape that invaginate to the lamina propria and form the gastric glands or pits.
Gastric pits.
And underneath the lamina propria, submucosa, the muscularis layer and cells. The submucosa don't have any special structures in the stomach. The muscular layer in the stomach have exception to other part. In most part, the muscularis layer included two layers, as longitudinal, circular. But in the stomach, there are three layers of the muscle fibers, as the oblique, circular and longitudinal, from internal to external part. In the stomach, they are located in the three layers direction, as oblique direction, circular and longitudinal. And finally, the outermost layer lined by serous, the connective tissue that lined by one layer of the squamous cells. Yes, these are the gastric glands and also gastric pits. That is the invagination of the epithelial tissue to lamina propria. That form these glands. In these glands, there are different type of the cells that each of them have a special function that I see you now about them. These glands mostly located in the body and also in the fundus. The cardiac and pyloric part don't have all of these cells. Yes, here the pits or glands in the stomach. That each of these glands or pits included this type of the cells. The basal cells mostly located in the basal part of the glands. As you know, they do mitosis and differentiate to other cells. Enteroendocrine cells also located in the deep part because they are endocrine cells. The endocrine cells are the same as to endocrine glands. They secrete their products to the blood. Because of it, they need to locate it close to the vessels, close to the blood stream. Because of this, located in the deep part of the glands. The chief cells or also zymogenic cells, both of them are same. They secrete some enzymes and proteins that not active in the stomach. Yes, they mix to the food and when they enter to the duodenum, they active by the enzyme that produced by the pancreas and they active in the digestion of the food. The parietal cells are biggest cells in the gastric pits. They have acidophil structures because they produce the acid chloride rich, the acid of the stomach, HCl. Yes, acid chloride rich that produced by the parietal or oxyntic cells.
Same thing.
And also they produce another factor as intrinsic factor. I have problem for the spelling of these words all time. Yes, this factor produced by parietal cells and act in the small intestine and involved in the absorption of the vitamin B groups in the small intestine. And finally, mucus cells that mostly located in the outermost part of the pits that produce the mucus. The parietal chief and endocrine cells mostly located in the body and fundus, and the mucus cells mostly located in the cardia and pylori part of the stomach. Mucus cells mostly located in the outer part of the pits or glands. Yes, these are the pits. Invagination of the epithelial tissue to lamina propria. You know the mucus cells. They produce mucus because of the preparation of the slides for